The Celtics have been terrible in crunch time all season long, but in this game, they find a way to hold on to the win despite it literally coming down to the last second with James Harden missing a game-tying three on a full-court lob attempt. Just a fantastic attempt from the Clippers to try and tie this game up. But the Celtics find a way to get over their struggles throughout the fourths, throughout the entire start of the season, and hold on to a 121-118 victory before heading to the Brooklyn Nets on Tuesday. But what's up, everyone, and welcome in to your Celtic source, home of your 7-7 Boston Celtics. And it's been a while since the Celtics have played basketball. They haven't played since Wednesday. They've had four days off here, something that you rarely see in the NBA. And I thought they were going to start slow, missing shots, maybe not having the chemistry, being a little out of rhythm. But they started fast, right? The Clippers, Jordan Walsh, he got the start. That's now 2 games in a row. Just being a menace defensively once again on James Harden, locking him up in the first half. And we'll talk about James Harden's performance down the stretch of this game because he single-handedly carried this team back into into the picture in this game. But in the first half, Jordan Walsh holds James Harden to 1 of 6 in the first half on field goals. I don't know. I think James Harden only had 2 points. Those obviously coming from free throws, and free throws are a big part of this game and the outcome, or at least how close it was, because the Clippers, just absolutely took advantage of James Harden's ability to just draw fouls with ease. And so I think the final line in terms of free throws in this game was, I believe the Clippers had, in terms of free throws, where is it? There. Clippers had, here it goes, 30 free throws, and they made 28 of them, whereas the Celtics had 17 and made 13. So that's 20 points that the Clippers got just on free throws. And despite that, the Celtics hold on and win this game, which is just incredible. We did a full podcast episode on Jordan Walsh last night. You can go check that out live. It was live on YouTube last night, and then you could also check it out wherever you get your podcasts. But just the ability of Jordan Walsh, which I just mentioned, to be able to guard the other team's best player. It takes all the pressure off of a guy like Jaylen Brown or a guy like Derek White from, exerting so much energy on the defensive end that they can't perform on the offensive end. And Derek White, he had a great performance defensively as well with a couple blocks, especially late in that game, and the clutch 3, which we'll talk about in just a second. But I can't say it enough how grateful you are to guys like Jordan Walsh, guys like Josh Minott, who, are not great offensively, but they're keeping you in games because of their ability to just, be a lockdown defensive player. And the reason Jordan Walsh is getting playing time right now over Josh Minott is he's, adding that, or he's making the bonus extra shots and bonus threes that you're not expecting from those guys, right? Any offensive production you can get from a Josh Minott, from a Jordan Walsh, are game changers in a game like this, and that's why Jordan Walsh is playing more, because he's able to knock down these threes, right? And it's just 1 or 2. They're not drawing up plays for him by any means, right? In this game, 2 of 5 from overall, but he makes 1 3, 6 points, taking 5 shots is not hurting you offensively because he's not missing shots or anything. He's being I wouldn't say a decoy, because guys are able to, sag off of him a little bit, especially centers and guards that can, give their attention to a guy like Jaylen Brown, a guy like Derek White. But then when he makes the occasional 3, he's wide open, and it's a game changer, a backbreaker for a team like the Clippers because they're not expecting those to go down. But, moving on away from Jordan Walsh, Derek White, Payton Pritchard. Should we start with Payton Pritchard? Yeah, because Payton Pritchard, he was the only one in the starting lineup, funny enough, that had a negative net rating, actually a negative 15 net rating. I think a lot of that was in that third and fourth quarter where James Harden just started, going off. But this was a brilliant offensive game from from Payton Pritchard, sorry. 30 points, 10 of 16, 8 of 13 from 3. Dare I say it, Payton Pritchard is back to that 3-point shooting form that we have come to know and love over the last couple years, and we just haven't seen it to start this season. But he has found his rhythm. He has gotten over that, jump in, the defense that's on him, right? Because when he was playing on the bench, he had, second-tier defenders, and now that he's going up against, all, starting defenders, or just better defenders overall, it took him the first 10, 11 games to get into a rhythm. But he's there, finally. After 13 games, our offense is looking better. And funny enough, this team's actually a top 10 team in both offense and defense in terms of points scored and points allowed. But the offense just has not looked good to the eye test. Crunch time offense in particular has been terrible. And so it's so great to see in this game Jaylen Brown making shots, Derek White making shots in crunch time, right? Because whatever you do throughout the first 3 quarters of this game, first 3 quarters and a half, doesn't matter if it's a close game and you just need a bucket. Can you get that bucket? And that loss against the 76ers, that loss against the Magic, both games they should have won. Actually, both losses against the 76ers, both games they should have won, but they just could not find a way to get a basket. And so in this game, you got just enough despite James Harden going off. Payton Pritchard in that first half, I don't even know if he could miss, right? I think he knocked down like 5 or 6 threes in a row in that second quarter, which jumped the Celtics out to that 20-point lead. And then James Harden just, got into a rhythm and came right back at them in the second half. I think the reason why we said it on the top of the show is the free throws, right? James Harden is just brilliant at getting to the line. He's not making, tons of mid-range shots. Yes, he had a electric tear in that fourth quarter of making threes, basically contested threes that, normal players, they should not go in, right? He had one, I think he almost made that one to tie the game with 1 second remaining. But before that, he had one on Derek White, one on Jordan Walsh. He had one on Jordan Walsh where he didn't make the shot, but he got fouled. Questionable foul. Jordan Walsh defends it well, and James Harden kicks out his foot. But they called it as a defensive foul. Actually went to go review it for a flagrant foul. Saw that Jordan Walsh actually didn't foul them, but once you make the call, you can't overturn the call. So they just kept it as a regular foul, which, I guess in the terms of, once it's a foul, it was great that it was just a regular foul because, had he made those 3 free throws, which he did, and then got the ball back, this game could have went any other way because it would have been a one possession game with James Harden or with the Clippers having the ball with 30 seconds to go. But moving on here, I think when we talk about oops, sorry about that. Give me 1 second. There you go. My bad. Plug came out. When we talk about why the Celtics were able to hold on to this win, it comes down to Jaylen Brown. And, in some games, Jaylen Brown, he looks slow. He loses, a couple possessions in that 76ers game, right? He gets lost defensively, which loses them the game. And he takes full accountability for his mistakes. As the leader of this team, as the captain of this team, you have to. Especially with how much is on his plate. But more often than not, we just get games like this, where he scores 33 points, 14 of 33 on shooting percentage, so not a great shooting percentage. Absolutely horrific from 3, 1 of 7. But it's the 13 rebounds that he gets, the picking up where Jason Tatum is so needed, right? And what's been great over the last couple of games? The topic of the show has not just been the horrific rebounding and offensive rebounds the Celtics are giving up. Yes, there are timely ones that have cost the Celtics the game, like that one against the 76ers that Brown gave up. But it's not the Celtics just getting blown out because of just awful, awful rebounding. Right? I said this. The Celtics are top 10 in both offense and defense. We came into the season saying the defense was going to be the problem. The offense was good. It's been the complete opposite, but it looks like right now it's starting to level out, and the defense is staying at a high level. And so, I have hope for this team in the next couple of weeks, getting above 500, especially against these 2 games against the Nets, Magic. The Pistons right before Thanksgiving, that's going to be a hard game. Pistons are one of the best teams in the league right now. But it's nice to see that the offense is finding a rhythm and, picking up some of the slack that, the defense has given up, right? Because that's what good offenses do. They, you can win a defensive battle, but you can also win a shootout, which the Celtics, if it was a shootout, it doesn't seem like the Celtics would have a chance because they just could not keep up with the offense, right? They just couldn't. Derek White couldn't make shots. Payton Pritchard couldn't make shots. Jaylen Brown has these ups and downs offensively as well. And Simons, I'm not sure what's going on with him. He still only plays, what is he playing this game? 0 points, plays just 12 minutes. I'm not sure why Joe Mazzulla's just left him on the bench. I know, he's not a player for the future for sure on this team. It's evident for the first 13 games or so that, he just doesn't do enough great things for Joe Mazzulla. But he's a great offensive player, and I don't know why, when offense has been the problem, Joe Mazzulla hasn't gone with him to get a couple shots, right? You don't have to play him, for extended runs. You can put him in for, 3 minutes here and there just to get a couple points and then leave the game. But he's just completely forgotten about him, along with Chris Boucher, who I thought coming into the season and through the first 3 games for sure was your starting 4. And Joe Mazzulla has just completely forgot about him as well, right? Because I thought Chris Boucher could rival for that center position with Neemias Queta. But, who knows? I don't know why those 2 players in particular have just fallen off the depth chart for Joe Mazzulla. Before we get out of here, Neemias Queta just continues to just improve game after game on just the fundamentals that, you need to have as a center in this league, right? 14 points. Again, right? He's one of those players that, you just need a little bit more offensively from him. And, 14 points from Neemias Queta is, A+ performance from him. 7 of 16, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, 9 rebounds, right? So him and Brown, picking up for that slack that a Jason Tatum would get, that a Drew Holiday, a Kristaps Porzingis, those 3 guys just did a bulk of the rebounding over the last couple seasons, and it's great to see that Jaylen Brown and Neemias Queta are picking up that slack, right? What does he have? He also has 6 offensive rebounds, a couple great putback dunks. He had a brilliant play where he goes up, gets blocked once, gets blocked twice, stays with it, and then dunks it in. I don't know if he fully got the dunk. I think it bounced up on the rim, but he gets the and one, which was a huge turning point in that game in that fourth quarter. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Sam Hauser not great in this game, 0 of 3. Other guys coming off the bench, we're not great, but just an overall great team win. They get back to 500, and it's only uphill from here, hopefully, with the teams that they are playing over the next 2 games. But yeah, follow on social media. We'll be back actually tomorrow night, where we're going to do a deep dive of just the NBA as a whole, just how good the Oklahoma City Thunder really are. What is the ceiling for, the Pistons? Those 2 are the top 2 teams in the NBA right now. We're also going to talk about, maybe, we're going to talk about Memphis and John Morant, what's going on with him. We're going to talk about, Dallas and how do you build up around Cooper Flag, all those things, just a league-wide, it's not going to be through a Celtics lens or anything. It's going to be, just taking the Celtics out of the question. We're probably not going to talk about the Celtics at all and just focus on the league as a whole. But then, obviously, on Tuesday, we'll be back after the Celtics play the Nets with the post-game show then. And then I believe they play Friday NBA Cup game. We'll be live then. And then I don't know quite the schedule for over the weekend because I'm actually going to the Magic game. So, we might do like a late post-game show after I get home. And we can do like a show around I think it's an earlier game around 6. So maybe a show around 11 where we, can talk about the game then. I'll also take some footage then and put out a little reel or whatever. But yeah, until next time, go Celtics.